Okay, I want to play for you something that LeBron James said last night. Now, keep in mind, the Lakers, once again, big lead in the first half, and DAngelo Russell stinks. Throws out a donut out there, 0 points. LeBron was disengaged, some bad turnovers, and they get boat raced in the second half, and the Denver Nuggets take a commanding 3-0 lead. This is LeBron James after the game.
And it's just basketball. At the end of the day, it's just basketball.
Listen, and we can play for you the full context of the question and the answer, but okay, the Lakers used to play in Inglewood at the Forum. Okay, and Jason knows the answer to this. Dan, I don't think you didn't live here when they played at the Forum, so maybe you don't know this, but you're essentially a transplant Los Angelino. Right? Inglewood is known as the City of Champions. And it's known as the City of Champions because the Lakers played there. And it is a Magic Johnson and Kobe Bryant town. And the reason was both of those guys gave you the feeling that, hey, when the house is on fire, you still have magic. And Kobe Bryant was not the perfect player, was not the perfect person. I'm not going to sit here and sell him to you otherwise. But do you think for 1 second either of those two guys, when a series still had life, would say, it's just basketball?
It's only a game. Why you have to be mad?
Right? That sounds really good when your kid is 6, 7, and 8, and they're crying after losing a sporting event. And listen, just run through the tunnel, take your juice box, get a donut, and go home and understand it's just basketball. But when you're 39 years old and everything that you have tried to tell us about who you are is about winning championships, and down 3-0, the juxtaposition of Jimmy Butler famously saying, don't let us win a game, and LeBron James wearing a Laker jersey saying, it's just basketball. Not great. Marc Stein joins us, Ultimate NBA Insider. He's got an awesome podcast along with Chris Haynes called This League Uncut. Plus, he publishes a Substack called The Stein Line. Mark, what do you make of LeBron James' comment after the game?
My answer is really going to disappoint you, pal, but I think the context is super important in that clip, because if that was LeBron's answer, if that was his reaction to LeBron, you guys are down 3-0 now, you're on the brink of getting swept by the Nuggets for the second straight year. If he said it's just basketball to that, then the outrage and the shock would be justified. But if you really go through the whole clip, he was being asked about the Lakers supporting cast members not playing well or not rising up to the moment. And the context of it's just basketball was his way of saying they shouldn't be overwhelmed by the moment, because this is the moment that obviously everybody is playing for. So that was not, to me, that was not LeBron James' reaction to this 3-0 series deficit that the Lakers are facing and the prospect of getting swept out of the first round. So in this case, look, we can, the Lakers, there are a lot of things we can pinpoint and rant about. And, the fact that they've had double-digit leads and haven't been able to hold any of them. The fact that LeBron and Anthony Davis have had such healthy seasons and it hasn't amounted to much.
Yeah.
You can take issue with all those things. But that comment to me is not, that is not a...
I know what I appreciate and respect it. Let me just read to you a little bit of the context. He says, we know what it takes to win and how blank near perfect you got to be. That's not something that's so crazy to obtain. I've been part of it 4 times where you have to be almost perfect have almost perfect basketball to win. I don't feel a way about anybody that doesn't want to strive to be as close to perfect as possible. And it's just basketball at the end of the day. It's just basketball.
Right. Like I said, my sense was he was saying that as his teammates should not be overwhelmed by the pressure of the situation because it's just basketball. It was not him saying, again, I could understand your reaction if the question was, LeBron, you guys are down 3-0. You're on the brink of getting swept. This is going to be in your 6 seasons in LA. 2 times you guys didn't make the playoffs. 2 times a first-round exit. So 4 out of 6 years it didn't go beyond the first round. If he said it's just basketball in response to that, then I could understand the dismay. But he was really talking about the pressure that the supporting cast members feel. So that's why I'm not. That comment is about 25th on the list of Laker concerns to me right now.
Okay. I mean, obviously, D'Angelo Russell, I didn't get bringing him back. This is what he looked like in last year's series. And I know they tried to bring in Gabe Vincent to replace him, but that didn't work out. I get it, but it doesn't matter. It's the same problem over and over again. Okay, with that in mind, Darvin Ham, Rob Pelinka, which of those 2 survived this?
Well, look, the pressure is going to be on the Lakers to make some sort of coaching change. I think that, people have been baying for that. And last night, it's interesting. I was covering Mavs Clippers for the first 2 games, and I did attend Laker pregame before hustling away to catch my late flight back to Dallas for Game 3 of Mavs Clippers, which is in a matter of hours. So I wasn't in the building, but last night there was a fire Darvin chant during the game, which I can't remember the last time there was that kind of chant from the home fans towards the Laker coach. So people are, there's going to be a demand for drastic changes, but this roster is, there are clearly holes and shortcomings. And look, I subscribe to the theory. I actually thought that playing Denver early would be the Lakers' best chance to be competitive when LeBron was theoretically at his freshest. But look, this team, the moves in the summer looked very good with limited flexibility. The Lakers won a lot of raves for the moves they made. But, I mean, it just hasn't worked at all. Again, LeBron and AD have had such a healthy season compared to past seasons in LA. And just the supporting, there's not enough shooting. They thought they had size coming into the season, but they don't have enough size right now to deal with Denver. They have major issues to address, no question.
Doug Gottlieb Show here on Fox Sports Radio. That's the voice of Marc Stein, who joins us. He writes a Substack called The Stein Line. You got to pick it up, and maybe download the podcast, This League Uncut. Okay, you've been covering the Clippers-Mavs series. What do the Clips do with Kawhi Leonard? Because he did not look right the other night.
Totally agree on that one. And I was honestly surprised that they brought him back for Game 2. When they won Game 1, and it was such a tough turnaround for Game 2, I thought the Game 1 win would lead the Clippers to wait till Game 3, which is tonight, which would have given, several extra days of rest for Kawhi. But they took the other approach that they knew his first game was going to be very rusty. I mean, the guy hasn't seen contact for 3 weeks before he came back Tuesday night, which is just crazy to me. I mean, I don't know many players that would come back coming back from knee trouble, a knee that has plagued him for years, and then no contact and immediately ramp up to 40 minutes. I mean, you don't see that every day. But I think the Clippers' approach clearly was, we know he's going to be rusty. Let's get him through the rust and just think how much fresher and better he will be for Game 3. But this game tonight is pivotal for the Clippers now because the Mavs got the split in Dallas, and Sunday's Game 4 is an afternoon game. So, I mean, that's almost like a back-to-back now for Kawhi if he's going to play in Game 4. So the Clippers, the onus is really on them to try to win tonight and regain some control here and know that they're going to get out of here 2-2, because I can't imagine Kawhi is going to feel great on Sunday afternoon with a 2:30 p.m. local tip. I mean, he didn't have his lift, didn't have explosion, short on a lot of shots, and you would expect that again. Three weeks. That was the first time we've seen him on the floor in April. Yeah. So I don't think you could have expected him to just come back and be full speed Kawhi. But, like we always say, the man is a cyborg. He's from another galaxy, and, maybe he's going to bounce back tonight with a much stronger Game 3. But, yeah, I was surprised the other night that he came back so soon, and it didn't go great.
Giannis is out. Any idea when he returns?
Well, it's funny. On the podcast, I asked Chris Haynes that question, my partner, and he's super plugged into Milwaukee. And Chris does think we're going to see Giannis at some point in this first-round series. To me, I think it's crazy for him to come back in this series because, again, a calf injury, not only is it hard to recover fast, not only is there the constant threat of re-aggravating it, but it just can lead to disasters lower down the leg, and it just, to rush back. I understand that, he wants to win another championship, and time is precious, and they made this huge trade for Damian Lillard, but does Giannis really want to rush back after such a serious... he was, dropped by this injury on his own side of the court with nobody around him. You remember the clip. So, but, if... I think also we know Giannis is just so competitive and wants to play so badly that would it surprise me if we see him at some stage in this round one? It would not.
It's Doug Gottlieb Show here on Fox Sports Radio. That's the voice of Marc Stein. Last thing, Steiny. Boston gets heated, right? Miami 23 of 43 from three, but also the zone defense kind of stymied them. And look, I know it felt like a one-off, but that confidence level in Boston has to at least be a little bit shaken, isn't it?
Yeah, it didn't feel like a one-off to me. I actually predicted that thing would go at least 6, and I think without Jimmy Butler, that was seen as kind of a wild or crazy first-round prediction, but I just have that much respect for the Heat that I felt like even without Jimmy Butler, they're going to find a way to win 2 games. But for Boston to endure such a dreadful performance in Game 2, in the second game of these playoffs, when the reality for them is the season starts now. They had an incredible regular season, but they are one of those teams that's only going to be judged on what happens in the playoffs.
Sure.
And yes, you can say, okay, Miami made 23 threes. It's 3-point variance. There's nothing the Celtics could do. No. That performance was just not good enough. And now, I suppose you could try to take the optimist view and say, okay, now they're going to get locked in. They're going to get focused. They realize this is a different season. But, yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how the Celtics respond because Miami that's not the first time that they've lost an important playoff game to the Heat. And, again, with, the Heat they're not here to just win a game or two. They actually think they can win this series without Jimmy Butler, even though nobody on the outside does. So that series suddenly got super interesting, where after Game 1, it looked like it was just going to be a snooze.
Marc Stein joining us here on the Doug Gottlieb Show on Fox Sports Radio. Mark, you're doing a great job. The podcast is excellent. It's called This League Uncut, along with NBA insider Chris Haynes. Or check out the Substack, and maybe check out the Substack, the Stein Line. Steiny, thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate it.
All right. Be good.